Welcome to Courtroom Conversations, right here on the Classic Courtroom YouTube channel. I'm Dylan Brooks Hamilton.
And I'm Susan Kelly Ashford.
And if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
That's right. We appreciate it.
Today, we're diving deep into a case that's really gripped our attention.
It has gripped mine, too.
It involves a West Virginia couple, Jeanne Whitefeather and Donald Ray Lantz.
And they're facing some incredibly serious accusations.
Yeah, accusations that are just, well, shocking, frankly.
Absolutely. The prosecution is alleging that this couple, these adoptive parents, subjected their 5 black children to forced labor.
Forced labor.
Yes, forced labor. And not only that, but civil rights violations, human trafficking, and gross child neglect. It's a lot to unpack.
So we're talking about a family of 7, 2 parents, and 5 adopted children.
That's right. And these children range in age from 5 to 16 years old.
Wow, that's quite a span. So what exactly is the prosecution's case?
Well, they're saying that these children were forced to perform heavy labor on the couple's properties.
What kind of labor are we talking about?
We're talking heavy fencing, propane tanks, water buckets, you name it.
All on the shoulders of these young children.
Right, exactly. And the prosecution is arguing that this happened without proper rest supervision or any compensation whatsoever.
And this wasn't just a one-time thing, right?
Right. They're alleging that this happened at both their previous home in Washington State and at their current home in West Virginia.
So a systematic pattern of exploitation.
That's what the prosecution is trying to prove. They're building a case that shows this wasn't just a few chores here and there, but a consistent pattern of forced labor over an extended period.
And what evidence are they using to back up these claims?
Well, they have testimony from a neighbor, Joyce Bailey, who actually witnessed the children working.
A first-hand account.
Yes, and she was so disturbed by what she saw that she started filming them.
Filming them?
Yeah, and that footage is being used in the trial. But perhaps even more damning.
More damning than that.
I think so, yeah. Are the text messages between Whitefeather and Lantz themselves?
Oh, text messages. Now it gets interesting. What are those messages revealing?
Well, they show the couple discussing their methods of discipline, making the children stand for hours on end as a form of punishment.
That's tough.
It is. But perhaps the most disturbing messages are the ones where they talk about locking the 2 teenage children in an outbuilding on their property.
Locking them up.
Yes, locking them in an outbuilding. It's a really troubling detail.
And what does the defense have to say about all this?
The defense is trying to paint a completely different picture.
Okay.
They're arguing that this isn't a case of forced labor and abuse at all.
And what is it a case of?
Well-meaning adoptive parents struggling to manage children with incredibly difficult pasts. That's what they're saying.
So they're basically shifting the blame onto the children.
In a way, yes. The defense attorney emphasized that 4 of the 5 children had endured physical, sexual, and emotional abuse from their biological mother. It's a really sad situation.
It is.
And they're suggesting that some of the children's behavioral issues may even stem from potential substance abuse by the mother during pregnancy.
So they're saying that any labor the children did was part of managing their trauma.
Not exactly. They're not saying that directly, but they are emphasizing the family's quote-unquote normalcy.
Normalcy.
Yeah, highlighting things like holiday celebrations, family vacations, regular family dinners, trying to create an image that contrasts sharply with what the prosecution is saying.
A picture of a loving, functional family.
Exactly.
But with those text messages in play, it's hard to ignore the possibility of something much darker going on.
Absolutely. Those messages are hard to explain away.
Yeah.
And that neighbor's testimony, that could be key.
Oh, Joyce Bailey, you mean?
Yeah, Joyce Bailey. Her observations are going to give the jury a first-hand account of the children's daily lives. She talked about seeing them perform what she considered heavy labor and rarely interacting or playing with each other.
It sounded like she had a front row seat to all of this.
She did. And her testimony about witnessing the children's struggle under those heavy loads while Lantz just watched, it was pretty emotional. I think it could really sway the jury.
You mentioned that she started filming, and her husband even advised against it. Why do you think she felt so compelled to document what she was seeing?
It sounds like she was deeply troubled, like she felt she had a moral obligation to record it. I think she saw something seriously wrong and felt like she had to do something about it.
You know, this case really highlights how complex adoption can be.
It does. And when you add in transracial adoption, children with a history of trauma, all those complexities are magnified.
It shows that we as a society, we need to do more to support these families.
We do. We need to give them the tools, the resources, the knowledge to navigate all of this, to truly protect those children.
This whole case has been just a whirlwind, hasn't it?
It has.
The accusations, the different stories, the legal arguments. It's easy to get lost in all of that.
It is. But we can't forget, at the center of all of this are 5 real children.
5 children with their own individual stories, their own hopes, their own fears.
They're the ones who matter most in all of this.
As we wait for that jury to come back with their verdict, I just hope that justice prevails.
I hope so too.
Not just legal justice, but justice for those kids.
Giving them the care, the support, the stability they need to heal and move forward.
This case has brought up so many important questions.
About our systems, about our biases, about how we take care of vulnerable children.
It's a conversation we need to keep having.
Absolutely. This isn't something that ends when the trial ends.
And that's what we'll keep doing here on Courtroom Conversations.
We're going to keep exploring these complex issues, shining a light on the legal system, but never losing sight of the human impact, the personal stories.
And we want to hear from you, too. What are your thoughts on this case? Share them in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going.
Let's learn from each other, because ultimately we all want the same thing: a more just and compassionate world for all children.
And we want to thank you for joining us for this deep dive. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button and subscribe to the Classic Courtroom YouTube channel for more Courtroom Conversations.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating case, another important discussion. Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep those courtroom conversations going.